Senator from Indiana.
In August, I had the honor of traveling to a tiny town. It was a small diner in Auburn, Indiana. The purpose of my visit was to present a military service medal that was nearly 75 years in the making. You know, over the last few months, I've had a whole lot of opportunity to think about that day and those moments in Sandra D's Cafe and what it's meant to me. As we approach Veterans Day, I'd like to share a few of those lessons. I served in the military for 10 years, and I've seen firsthand the sacrifices our men and women in uniform make. I've had further opportunity as an elected representative to visit with veterans who've served in conflict zones, families who've made incredible sacrifices to keep us all free. I learned just how much sacrifice we truly ask of our troops and their families. In the Marine Corps, we have a motto, it's Semper Fidelis. Rarely do we tell folks what it means. It means always faithful. Faithful to our nation, faithful to all those who protect it, faithful to all those who serve in peacetime and are prepared to protect it. It's why I wear this memorial bracelet around my wrist. Folks back home know I wear it. I remind them of it often because it's really important. This bracelet honors Lance Corporal Alec Terwisky. Alec was a fellow Marine. He hailed from the small town of Du Bois, Indiana, in southern Indiana. And on September 3rd, 2012, he was tragically killed for all of us in Afghanistan. His mom, Sandy's become a close friend. She asked me to wear this bracelet to honor his memory. And I do so proudly every day, of course, to remember Alec and Sandy and the rest of their family, but also to remember all those men and women who love our country so much, love what it stands for, that they're prepared. They're prepared, if necessary, when called to do so, to put their lives on the line for all of us. It takes a special person to take up arms in defense of our country. It takes a belief in a cause much greater than ourselves. That cause is, in fact, what America is all about. And it's that very belief that makes me think back to that cafe in Auburn. You see, Sandra D's father, Robert Egley, was a World War II veteran who survived the war. He lived a long and happy life back home in Indiana, didn't say much about his military service. In fact, when I showed up, Sandra didn't know much about the story. I did a little personal internet research in the car on the way up, and it was interesting what I found during that drive to deliver her father's missing Bronze Star. You see, during a battle in the Second World War, it was in the Philippine theater, Robert's unit saved the lives of 511 American prisoners of war in the Pacific theater. His actions and those of the other American GIs with him allowed so many Americans to return back home, to marry their sweethearts, to start a family, and to pursue the American dream. Now think about it. This is the beauty and the magic of the gift that so many of our men and women in uniform have given or are prepared to give. Because of the sacrifice of Robert Egley, there are hundreds of Americans who've had children and grandchildren who are now alive today as a result of his beautiful act of courage, his selfless act of service on behalf of all of us, his patriotism, his sacrifice. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people across America. So for these reasons and many, many more, we must never stop working to ensure our veterans receive the respect that they deserve. And that includes ensuring that our veterans receive the care that they are due after they are back safe and secure at home. The Senate has already taken up and passed many pieces of nonpartisan legislation, common sense legislation, which I co-sponsored and is proud to see become law that will improve the lives of our veterans. The VA Mission Act is perhaps the most notable and ambitious effort where we've all come together to support our veterans. This law has already dramatically improved the way our veterans receive their health care. We've also taken steps to speed up the appeals process for veterans through the VA Appeals Modernization Act. No one should ever have to wait years, or perhaps even, in the worst instances, pass away waiting on their benefits. We've made significant improvements with respect to that process. We've improved the way our veterans are cared for in nursing homes. And we've worked together to provide urgently needed support for veterans who may be contemplating suicide. So this year, I've introduced another piece of legislation, working with Tammy Duckworth, a wounded warrior herself and distinguished member on the other side of the aisle. We introduced the Vet Safe Travel Act to provide TSA pre-check benefits to those veterans who've been severely wounded on the battlefield. This Vet Safe Travel Act would help 70,000 amputees, 100,000 paralyzed veterans, and 130,000 blind veterans who are currently subjected to a rigorous and demeaning screening process when traveling. Unfortunately, the legislation has, at least so far, been languishing in the House of Representatives, and its delay, of course, means veterans in need will be left waiting. So I would really hope that before the House takes another recess week, they can take up and pass this important legislation. I think our veterans have more than earned it. We've made significant strides for our veterans working together in recent years, but of course, we must always keep striving to do more. It was George Washington, a veteran himself, of course, who once said, "The willingness with which our young people are likely to serve in any war, no matter how justified, shall be directly proportional as to how they perceive the veterans of earlier wars were treated and appreciated by their nation." Well, let's treat them well. Let's appreciate them fully this Veterans Day and every day. I encourage you to remember your neighbors, members in your state, service members around the country and deployed around the world. I encourage you to think of all those people before and those still with us who are proud to call themselves veterans of our military. May God bless our veterans. May God continue to bless America.